How's everyone doing? It's been a while. Lots of audio is coming through the podcast, but let's get right on business right now. Socially engineered mental illness. It's not to put it out as a, finger pointing aspect. It's just to understand the concept because it's something that kind of went wild in this day and age. And it's something that you can easily relate to how we've seen it happen in the past, in the previous years. Here's say time of our parents when church and religion was a big thing. Now we're going to look at both sides of it because there's the religious side of it, which is a part of society, but also has its share of socially engineered mental illness. And then there's straight up hardcore, let's say, social political type of engineered mental illnesses. And it's quite simple. When it comes to religion, those of you who aren't part of that, or even those of you who are part of that, kind of have to realize the fact that you were born on this earth without knowing squat. Okay, you were a soul coming into, pregnancy, and then boom, you're out, you're a baby. And depending on the country that you live in, the time period that you live in, because that counts as well, and the environment that you're in, you get a granular type of history, meaning you on your own will, because of let's say where you're born and where all that information kind of comes to you, will have a formation of reality. Now, religion is not a part of that initial process. You are not born directly knowing about religion. It is told to you after. Thus, from your perspective, kind of like cavemen, you had no idea about this thing that they were talking about. And upon you diving into it, you then get told about rule sets, do's and don'ts, the entity of good and evil. So you are introduced to evil. Remember that. You wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for, you wouldn't have it framed that way if it wasn't religion. And you wouldn't have that gun to head type mentality of do this or you're not going to go to heaven or hell or whatever you want to call it. Do this or that devil that I told you about, which you did not know before I told you about it, will get you. So it's like a gun to head type of deal that you're being given. Yes, there are good intentions, but what needs to be understood is the concrete aspect of you coming into this earth not knowing anything and then being pushed into that gun to head scenario without your free will. True repetition, indoctrination, and social pressure from your family, because there are people that are still black sheeped if they leave a religion, and it's kind of nutty. It doesn't really matter what kind of religion. When certain families and certain societies take it to an extreme, there are individuals who will be blacklisted. And let's not go too far back in time, but remember the witch trials. Really? Fuckers didn't get women's intuition and then called them witches. And seriously, women's intuition is so fucking beast and baller. Do not fuck with that. No, honestly, we all have that intuition, yet women specifically have that sense heightened. Practice into the aspect of emotional connection and imagination. We all have that, but women's intuition is a real thing due to unhindered path into that understanding, that natural feeling and understanding. They were not told, you'd better not feel because you're a woman and women do not cry. That's the male programming that kind of fucked around with that. We all have that, yet when it comes to women's intuition, this kind of happened. And then the witch trial, crazy ass religion. And there's multiple other examples, but remember, gun to head, follow these rules, or else, the devil is going to get you, or we're going to ostracize you, and blah, blah, blah. So what happens with that is that you get this sense of pressure to do what someone else wants you to do, or else. It is similar to old school type parenting, or do what I need you to do or else. You know, that kind of parenting that is decreasing rapidly. Thank God. Thank God. But yeah, seriously, it's decreasing rapidly, but it's equal to that. The mental pressure that it builds for an individual to follow a said, not a natural, a said rule sets. Okay? And that can also even include the aspect of, hey, are you merciful enough? Are you giving enough? Are you giving like thousands of dollars to your church every time? You know, there's a kind of pressure. And then there's a kind of, oh, you didn't give enough? You know, back in old time Quebec, the clergy had some fucking powers and would force women to have babies. With like multiple babies, make giant families so that they can work on those farms. And that's a shitty kind of pressure when you think about it, okay? So that is a form of socially engineered mental illness, because after a while you just get that buildup of pressure from given rules, not natural rules. You came in as a baby, there's no evil babies, and you don't know anything. You know, you could have been born in any country and the whole rule sets would have been different. All right? Now, up to the societal aspect of how societal and societies, to a certain degree, do create mental illnesses. And now it's about fucking time to bring it up, because confinement! But it goes a bit deeper than that. If all kind of remember, and please, I know the word and terminology is not necessarily well placed, but this is to kind of explain. This is not to blame, okay? To explain and understand, not to blame. Now, you guys remember this thing? I'm joking, but you guys remember this thing called social justice warriors, right? And the way that they were engineered in colleges. So the idea of triggers. Remember, as a baby, you had no triggers. You weren't told by someone else that you need to react this way because someone else would feel bad. You had none of that. And that doesn't make you an evil baby. There are no fucking evil baby. If you're really hardcore anchored into that trigger mindset, you might have had a flash of going, well, you were ignorant. And it's like, no. Who the fuck are you to call out a baby? Ignorant, right? Pure, honest, creation, fun, natural state. Go back to prehistoric era to a certain degree, you know? None of that. None of those mental rule sets. Prehistoric era is a bit of an extreme, but it'll have you understand the point consciously. So, the idea, hell, it's even up to a point where clapping in hands is triggering. People now have to do this because they don't necessarily want to get triggered, right? They find that triggering because they were told to. They were repeated over and over and over that this list of things, the devil that I introduced to you because you didn't know that devil, this list of things has to have you react. These thoughts and this list of thought must have you react. You have to be conscious of this. Hell, apparently putting a dot, a period at the end of a sentence triggers certain people. Huh? So it's not that they're crazy. They're not fucking crazy. They got wrapped into socially engineered mental illness. Because when you think about it, somebody clapping their hands, it's just a sound, right? It's just a fucking sound. Triggered, Another thing, it's like, you must call them African American. Really, am I going to get triggered if somebody just says black? It's a word. It's a fucking word, But because of socially engineered mental illness, triggered, right? Now, what happens is With the more that list grows, the more your brain is primed to react the way you were told to react, thus triggers, you know? I gotta be offended. I've seen a lot of people that were offended and reacted, so, to be part of the group, I need to do that, or else I'm gonna get shunned. You guys see the similarities? Religion, do this, or else you're going to hell, and we're gonna shun you. Society, do this, or else you're gonna trigger other people, and we're gonna fucking shun you. You guys kind of start getting the momentum of that, right? And how it literally just kills an individual mentally, because the more you react, okay, the more you're used to reacting to these things that are, again, from a baby's point of view or even prehistoric point of view, have absolutely no meaning aside from the meaning that you give it. So if someone else pressures you to get their meaning, thus get their reaction, you're going to stack that up. Your system is just going to go haywire because you're constantly reacting out of fear, and even adding up to that stress, that anxiety, that depression. Social media is another thing of just, oh my God, everyone else's life is so much better. I need to glamour. I need to have the selfie. I need to have this. Baby doesn't give a fuck about your selfie. Baby doesn't care, but you understand the momentum of those lists stacking up, okay? And the human brain just goes haywire. No fucking wonder people are into depression, Hell, one of those other socially programmed, we could say, to a certain degree, let's just call it what it is, socially programmed mental illness is when it comes to subliminal messages. React to a certain word, react to a certain sound, react to a certain concept. Don't talk about these, or else people are going to feel, and you're being told, okay? You're being told that people are going to feel X, Y, Z. Thus, you're being told to assume what people are going to say, to assume how people are going to react. Are you fucking crazy? You're not. But you're being programmed that way because you can't assume what people are going to how people are going to react. Everyone is different unless you program everyone to be the same. That'd be kind of fucked up. I was going to say, I don't know if we have the technology to go that way, but hey, some certain people talk about chips and vaccines and all that shit, so I don't know, man. When it comes to water processor, I was kind of interested in that some of our phones in the future, and especially computer chips, processors are going to be water based. So they were able to harness water to contain information. So just leaving it out there. I'm not here to talk about any kind of conspiracy theory. I couldn't give much more of a fuck. But one thing for sure, you do not want to let yourself be programmed with those mental illnesses. Now, this is not to say to go completely the other way and kind of go, fuck you, and all of that. No. All of this is a game of balance. So it is an aspect of understanding when you meet people that have been indoctrinated into that. Fully understanding that nobody chooses. Just like how you didn't choose to be church XYZ when you were a kid, you were just brought in there. Some people didn't even fucking ask you if you wanted to be baptized without giving you a shameful look or something like that, It's the same deal. You wouldn't get into this college if you don't follow those rules. Have you seen how they were harassing teachers? It's nuts. But when you start seeing these patterns, it kind of goes, oh, okay, so yeah, you got wrapped into that. I can't blame you. I don't want to hang out with you because if you don't necessarily want to talk and be open without, letting yourself be triggered all over the place, and you don't necessarily want to work on it, then that's fine. I will leave you be. And it's not in a hateful way. It's just, I don't necessarily want to get wrapped into that programming. Fuck that. I've already had my years of suppression with my own community and my own fucking parents. I'm not going back into that for some social shit. You know, it's that normal because early on I had a lot of what you could call depression, you know, way early on because of all that shit. And then school bullying and then all of that, you know. And it's like, I had to follow the righteous path. No, man, I could have just Johnny Cage certain people and it would have been done. Of course, balance. So it doesn't mean Johnny Cage and then uppercut after. It's just leave it be. But that's kind of like the aspect of you understand the situation, you understand how certain people get to this point and how prevalent this programming is. It's kind of like trying to talk to a religious person about various other religion and interconnecting things. At one point, you'll see them go, no, 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 no. And they'll just literally say, and you're going to hell, and just go. They'll just, or worse, they'll recite, well, verse this says that. And they won't necessarily understand the spiritual practice instead of the list of rule sets and who said it. See, there's a difference between that. There's a balance to understand, and both in religion and the societal aspect, where you, as they always said, you know, wise like a serpent, but soft like a dove. You're wise so you understand how to relate the way that you would want to be related with, which includes if you were part of an indoctrination and you just couldn't see it, would you want somebody to hammer you constantly until you get it? Or would you want to have somebody passively trying and then letting you be, going off in your day? The latter one, of course. So it's going with understanding, compassion, and having the wisdom to perceive these things. Hey, we've got this going. We're 2020, guys, 2020. We're able to understand and lock all those pieces together. As well as, you know, understand the effect of television on our young minds. Lots of programming there, you know, and socially engineered mental illness. Hey, if you keep hearing about triggers on the news and ways to act and this is that and based on other people's opinion, well then eventually you kind of feel like it's normal. Up until you're kind of confronted with the opposite, but then your brain kind of prioritizes what's been repeated more often. So if being sad, miserable, and unhappy and talking about drama and talking about what you hated and then having opinions like, oh my god, 2020 is the worst ever, and then posting it on Facebook because multiple people are doing that, you've been programmed, my brain. You've been programmed. You know, and it happens. Repetition is key to everything. Just like how you master an art, just like how you master tying your shoes, just like that time where you kind of picked up your phone for the first time off your bed or, you know, your bed stand, and you've got into the habit of picking it up faster, putting it in your pocket faster. Repetition. So it's the same thing with everything, including, you know, those lists of rule sets. Yet remember, you didn't have these. You didn't have these before, just like your phone. You were just fully open to everything, and then slowly and carefully society kind of locks you down. And, you know, it's kind of like a momentum of habits that we didn't necessarily check as a public. So this is the time to rebalance this shit, you know? You kind of notice your reactions and kind of go, okay, really, did I have that when I was 5? Did I have that when I was 6? And don't fucking judge yourself. People who are still running the whole judgment aspect of things, they're judging themselves all day. So it's kind of like saying their opinions doesn't necessarily matter because it reflects what's going on inside them. Here's a little saying. If you've got trash inside, you're going to bring out trash outside. But it does not mean that you as an individual are trash because you didn't selectively choose to have trash inside. And when I mean that, you know, judging, labeling, name calling, all of that, you know. Like they said, and we've kind of understood after an amount of years, the bullies get bullied at home. That's where they learn it. Ain't no evil baby. Fucking remember that. So, yeah, you know, just take the time, play with this, and don't stress yourself. Don't see it as, oh shit, I gotta remove all those ideas and rule sets and oh my god, fuck the people who did that. Don't worry. It's been a momentum. You can't have it without being taught that. And those who taught you that were taught the same way. So when you understand that chain reaction, just like religion, and you understand the mental illnesses that they cause in people when it stacks up to an extreme, it's like you can't even breathe anymore. Seriously. You sneeze outside, people are going to go, ah! Repetition, repetition, repetition. Both of words, symptoms, and all that. Repetition. Don't fuck with the placebo effect, because it's going to fuck you back. 2020, we start understanding this shit, you know? Even further. So take your time. Notice. The trick is being mindful. So as you're walking around, going through your day, take off your headphones. Do not get distracted with your phone all the time. Just notice your well-being and your reactions, and then adapt. You know, try journaling. Notice when you've reacted, write it in a journal, a little small journal, and then revise it throughout at the end of the day, and just kind of go, oh right, I reacted there. Okay, that trigger, where did I learn it? Did I have it when I was 2 or 3? Fuck no. Woo! Done. Next. And you just kind of go at it day by day. You don't need to be Superman. It's not, you do it in one day or else. No, that'd be bullshit. You know? Repetition happens over time. So that old repetition will be dismissed over time when you take the time to do that new repetition. And just be whole. Have fun. Be yourself. And allow other people to be themselves as well. Alright? Or else you're programming them with your own rule sets. And fuck that. You know, let people be people. Have that fun, alright?